Hi everybody. My name is Jerry Wise, and I'm a life and relationship coach and the founder of Jerry Wise Relationship Systems. And this video is entitled 6 Steps to Defining Yourself and also Lowering Your Anxiety in Relationships. I would like you to join the YouTube channel, please. I'd also like you to become a paid member for $1.99 a month to help support new videos that I'd like to put out. They do take time and effort and energy to produce. I also have a master class coming up on December 5th, 2020, on Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be on Zoom. It'll be live with me. And you can go to my website, jerrywiserelationshipsystems.com, and sign up for that workshop. I don't have them very often, so if you'd like to try one, I think you might find it enjoyable. We're going to be doing training and then also some role plays too with folks. Kathleen Smith has a great new book entitled Everything Isn't Terrible. Conquer your insecurities, interrupt your anxiety, and finally calm down. She's a Murray Bowen Family Systems author, and it's a great new book. I would suggest you get that. I believe there are 6 steps to define yourself as she does, and she does a great job of summarizing these at the end of her chapter 4. I wanted to describe these to you. I've been sharing these for years. And Bowen and other Murray Bowen followers are familiar with most of these. And in fact, most of them are ones that we describe and talk about often. We are always looking for new and different ways to describe the process of self-differentiation, because it's not just a linear process of do A, B, and C, and then you're all done. That's more of a quick fix, and quick fixes don't tend to really fix in the long run. They fix in the short run, and then often fall apart or fall away. These steps are simply not a linear process, and you just do these and boom, and you're done. Calming down, defining yourself, involves a lifelong process of observing, evaluating, and interrupting over and over again. And when I mean interrupting our functioning in the system. Observing, evaluating, and interrupting our functioning in the system over and over again. And the benefit of doing that is you begin to get calmer and calmer and calmer and less reactive and less having a feel-think experience where we don't separate our feelings and thinking. And we are also, again, less reactive when we become calmer. We are more the adults we want to be and more our age. Number 1, excuse me. Start focusing on yourself and not on others. You've heard me say that probably 1,000 times on my videos. We have to understand how we currently manage our anxiety in our relationships, with our families, at work, at church, in the synagogue, in the mosque, anywhere where the PTO, anywhere where we gather, Bible studies. Wherever there are more than one person, you're going to have a relationship system. And anxiety is possible in any of those systems. And it's more likely it will be possible. Because even a dyad, which is a 2-person system, will eventually have anxiety in it. And how you manage that is very important. We ask questions often to find someone to blame. We will need to reframe our questions. For example, shifting them from why to how. Now, you've heard me say many times about don't ask how questions. It's typically about when. But in this instance, I'm using how a little differently. For example, why does my mother-in-law keep ignoring me? Very other-focused question. Versus, how do I function when my mother-in-law ignores me? What do I feel? How do I act? That's very self-focused and also is important for our own functioning. Asking the why question will not necessarily help us regulate ourselves or be self-regulated. We'll keep the focus on, why does my mother-in-law keep doing that? I just get mad at her. It's so frustrating. I don't say anything because I don't want to cause a problem, but I'll just go home and feel irritated and annoyed. Begin to notice what you do to manage your reactivity and underlying anxiety in relationships. Often the anxiety at first can be very unconscious because we're not used to being aware of it. Then we begin to notice it more. And we begin to notice that when we start feeling that anxiety, then feelings and thoughts start to flow in. And that's a beginning to us understanding how we can actually change ourselves. I may not be able to change my mother-in-law and how she ignores me. And probably won't be able to change that at all. Maybe I need to talk to her. Maybe we need to have a one-on-one. Maybe I can ask, my partner, my wife, about their mother and see what's up, and so I can get greater understanding. But also, I want to be careful about triangulating. Now I'm going to talk to my wife, for example, and tell her everything about how I hate it when her mother ignores me. And now we're throwing a triangle into the game, which causes more anxiety, not less. Margaret Paul, in her book Inner Bonding, suggests we might also want to check with our inner child and find out what he or she is feeling and thinking. Remember, these feelings and thoughts are triggered by these events, but are not caused by others. Because my mother-in-law is ignoring me, does not immediately cause all the feelings in me. I may have feelings as a result of interacting with her ignoring me, but that's not causing it. Because there are some people who can be ignored, they don't have any of those feelings. They are detached and just walk on. So it's not a cause. Because if it's a cause, then it would cause that in everybody. And I don't think I'm not reacting because anybody in the world ignores me. Some people I don't care about. It's often the people we do care about that we get triggered by them. But that's not the same thing as them causing it. Check out my video that I released a week or so ago, The 8 False Beliefs That Control Our Life. I would recommend you check out that video. Number 2, practice separating your thinking from your feelings. Our maturity and our level of self-differentiation can be measured by how well we separate feelings and thoughts. Now that may sound funny. Well, I know what my feelings are. I know what my thoughts are. Or many people will go, I have no idea what my feelings are. All I know are what my thoughts are. And oftentimes we will use thoughts as feelings. That's particularly true for ACOAs, adult children of alcoholics, adult children of narcissists, and other folks who have been through toxic or traumatic dysfunctional families. When our maturity and our level of self-differentiation can be measured by how well we separate feelings and thoughts, we then can begin to think about what is real and what is imaginary. What is real and what's going on in my limbic system way back here, the older brain, so to speak, and how it triggers me. What is real and what is being triggered inside of me. Let me give you an example. In separating thoughts from feelings, this is what a lot of people think a feeling is. I feel you are judging me. Is that a feeling or a thought? I use the word feel, but it's really not a feeling. It is a thought. Ask ourselves, what do we feel when we have these thoughts? So when I feel or when I think somebody is judging me, and maybe they are overtly judging you, oh, that dress could be a little better. That suit, do you really think that suit looks so good on you, Jerry? I feel sadness and or rejection. These are feelings. And so we want to practice separating thoughts from feelings. When am I thinking? When am I feeling? And so many times when I ask clients, well, what are you feeling right now? They will also often tell me a thought. And they may not be connected to their feelings. And then we do that feelings work to help them with that. Or, I feel you are trying to hurt me or trying to make me feel stupid. That's not feelings. Those are thoughts. When someone wants to behave hurtfully, I may feel hurt. I may feel defensive. When someone says or believes I'm acting stupid, I feel shame or I feel hurt. These are feeling statements. So when you make thoughts and you make them sound like feelings, make sure they're feelings. And you can go online and get feelings lists and try to identify feelings versus thoughts. That's an important skill because if you can identify the difference, you can actually become calmer. Rather than what I have or what I consider feel think. And that's where I feel you're trying to hurt me. I feel you're judging me. That's a process that doesn't narrow down what's a thought and what's a feeling, and it's an automatic feel thought. And that's more reactive, rather than slowing it down and making a distinction between the two. That's a practice of self-differentiation. It will eventually help us lower our anxiety. Number 3, practice differentiating your thoughts and emotions from those of others. So first we want to identify what are our thoughts and feelings. Then we want to practice separating my thoughts and my feelings from others. Separate how you feel and think from how others feel and think. Often we begin this process by having a hard time thinking and feeling for ourselves. And so it can be difficult to think and feel for ourselves. Many times we are deluded, or we just are in denial, or we don't see it, we're not insightful or aware that actually we're not thinking for ourselves. We're just pinging off other people. We're just reacting to what other people, how we're relating to other people. And we're not thinking and feeling for ourselves. An example. Dad says, I don't know why you don't get a real job, Jerry. Dad is feeling shamed or feels upset that I'm not in a job he feels would be best for me, or might be a better image for the family. His shame and his upset are contagious and triggers my feeling of shame and guilt, and I react as either a victim or a Viking. Either I get mad or I just cave in. So my feelings are directly tied to his. This emotional current that's running through me ends up creating enmeshment within the family, within me and Dad, let's say. Versus, hey Dad, I'm sorry you feel I don't have a real job. It doesn't upset me that I'm happy with my job. Hey, how's your golf game? If you notice, my thoughts and feelings are now not connected to Dad's. We don't have an umbilical cord of emotionality that's between us. He has his view and I have mine. And we stay detached in a healthy way while still being connected. But there's a detachment there. We're not operating off the same umbilical cord, so to speak. Fourthly, observe how you borrow functioning from others and utilize your pseudo self. Well, what is a pseudo self? And I've had people ask me about that. A real self is not defined or reactivated or activated by others. It's not changeable. The part of us that's shaky and changeable based on our relationship with others is the pseudo self. That's what the pseudo self is. In other words, I feel and think based on what you feel and think. And I react to that. That's my pseudo self, not my real self. It's a reactive self. In the previous example with Dad, for example, Dad is upset with his own dead-end job. He wishes to borrow some self from me by shaming or guilting me via his own projection, right? Now again, we are working on how we borrow or loan functioning from others, to others, from others. And then I react and want to loan self to Dad by feeling it's my fault or failing, and thus making him feel better about his rightness or himself. I have just now loaned self to him. He's just borrowed self from me by me being a victim and saying, well, you're right, Dad. I don't know why I don't get a better job. Now he's just borrowed self from me and I've just loaned it to him. And we do this loaning and borrowing often because of that umbilical cord that we have. Because it's really not about the job between, say, Dad and I. It's about our borrowing and loaning of self. And so we want to work on reducing borrowing and loaning of self. Or I could also try to borrow self from him by trying to get his approval. Oh, but Dad, I just got a little raise, and they really think I'm doing a great job. I'm trying to get his approval. I'm trying to get his acceptance. Thus, he then says, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And now he's just given me, and I have just received some borrowed self from him. And I've just borrowed it. And now I feel better and accepted by him. But that pseudo-self operation is what all of that is. Or I could become angry and act like a Viking and get mad at Dad to flex my pseudo-self and use him to feel more powerful and take away some of his self. Well, you stupid old man, you've never accepted me. I don't know why you don't accept me. That's just becoming a Viking. I'm angry, I'm reactive, and now I'm going to become powerful by making him weak. And so I've borrowed self from him. And he loses self. He loans self to me because he feels worse. Number 5, begin to define your beliefs and principles. It's hard to be a true self without beliefs, preferences, and principles. What do you believe? How do you see the world? What is loving? What is loving to you? What is toxic to you? And in this instance with Dad and I, let's say, though we didn't have this conversation, but we had others, that what do I believe about my job? What do I believe? Am I okay with it? Even if he's not? What are my beliefs about it? And if I am fuzzy about all those beliefs, then we're going to be borrowing, loaning, sharing, shifting self back and forth because nobody's on a firm foundation. Nobody has a solid self. And so we just keep pinging, borrowing, and loaning self back with each other. We want to begin to shift from a no mooring and no principle or no perspective life to choosing an intentional belief life. Because the first life, we're just going to be blown with the wind. The second life, we're going to be more secure and our anxiety will go down. It does take some work to decide, what do I believe? And you can start with things as simple as, what kind of ice cream do I like? Do I prefer butter pecan or vanilla or chocolate or strawberry? No, I think I like chocolate the best. Okay, that's one belief, one principle I have. Doesn't mean I can never eat any other ice cream, but I know that's my top favorite. That's having a belief and a preference. This helps us to reduce our anxiety by our own beliefs and principles, helping to direct ourselves and our emotions, versus letting others' beliefs and principles and perspective direct our own emotional life and our own reactions. Let me give you an example of that. Let's say a sister, I'm going to use a pretend family. I do have a sister, but she's not an alcoholic. My sister, I'm going to say my sister is an alcoholic and comes to Thanksgiving dinner drunk with her husband and kids. She's obnoxious, abusive, and disrespectful. Now, let's take the I have no principles, beliefs, or self-perspective, Jerry. I don't know what I believe. I don't know what I know. I'm just an umbilical cord connected to the family. And I adopt the family's denial perspective that's within my family, and that this is the way she's always been. And so as a result of that, it triggers my caretaking or rescuing of my parents from my sister, also wanting to rescue myself from my sister. I get angry with her and demand she leave. And everybody, mom and dad are hurt and wonder why I've been so mean to my sister. Everyone is mad at me and feels sorry for my sister. And now who gets to be the scapegoat? Out of my reactivity, now I've become the scapegoat because I was over-functioning and I was being the Viking because I was tired of being the victim, so I became a Viking instead. Viking or victim can still be problematic. Using a scenario in which my beliefs are more firm and thought out and accepted by myself, I have come out of denial, where my family may not have, acknowledging my sister is an alcoholic. Secondly, principle, I do not believe it is kind or respectful to be treated badly at Thanksgiving dinner when we all could be cordial. And I'm going to talk about could. We'll come to that. But that is at least the goal. Thirdly, mom and dad allow this because they have few of their own values or beliefs or perspective or awareness of the situation. Fourthly, I have a value or belief that I would like to stay in contact with my family, but not with the abuse or with disrespect. Fifthly, knowing this beforehand, because I've become more clear to myself, knowing this beforehand, I choose to only be at my parents' house for a shorter time and only there for the meal, and leave with my family after the meal. And if somebody asks me about why are you leaving, then I can either say, well, there are things that happen that I'm just not comfortable with. We're just going to head out. We wanted to have dinner with you. We did. And now we're heading out. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. If we do that enough times, then our short visit becomes more accepted in the family systems that that's just how Jerry is. He's only going to be here for the dinner, then he's going to leave. I don't know why he's being that way, but I guess that's what we have to put up with. Not we have to put up with the sister who's an alcoholic. We have to put up with Jerry, who only wants to be here a short time because of the alcoholic, let's say. Sixthly, practice defining yourself in significant relationships. The practice of defining oneself with others can temporarily increase anxiety in the system, which is why so many of us avoid it. We don't want to have increased anxiety, so we avoid that like the plague. And if I go and say, hey, I'm going to change the way I typically do Thanksgiving dinner with the family, all of a sudden the anxiety starts to go up within me and often within them as well. If we can stay calm, that can go miles to make that work out better for us and for the family. In the previous example with my sister, let's say, who again is not an alcoholic, but in this situation she is. In the previous example, telling mom and dad that I have a hard time celebrating when someone is an alcoholic and becomes abusive to others. And I would say a practicing alcoholic, not a recovering alcoholic, but someone who comes drunk and is out of control. Mom and dad say, oh, your sister is not an alcoholic. She is just very stressed and may have drank a few too many. With her kids and her job, I can understand her doing that. Mom and dad, you're free to think those things, of course. I disagree, and so I will be coming to the family dinners for only the eating part of the meal. I want to spend time with the entire family, which is why I'm coming, but I don't want unnecessary conflict with my sister due to her drinking. I love her, but she is not well. Oh, she's fine. She's been this way forever. I know she's been this way forever. I understand that, but I see it differently. I'm not sure I see her as well. If we play this broken record, oftentimes resistance gets lowered in the family, and or they simply accept that you feel differently, even though they don't agree with you, and you feel differently than they do, and accept your boundaries over time. Now, that's not with malignant, serious, toxic families. That's when families who have some sense of awareness and some genuine caring for each other. Not a family filled with personality disorders. So I wanted to share these 6 things with you. I hope they have been a help, or at least stirred your thinking about these things. Please join my YouTube channel and my paid membership for $1.99 and help me make more of these free videos. Sign up for the workshop on December 5th, Reducing Your Reactivity. I want to thank you for watching today. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can join me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I've been putting up a lot of good quotes that are self-differentiating oriented, also involving narcissism, codependency, on my Facebook page, Jerry Wise Relationship Systems. And I think you will find those quotes a help to you. I want to thank you for joining me today. Have a great day. And be wise.